The Second Blackfyre Rebellion was the second attempt of the Blackfyre pretenders to claim the Iron Throne. The failed plot, which took place in 212 AC, began at White Walls, where the hedge knight known as Sir John the Fiddler was revealed to be Daemon the Second Blackfyre during a wedding tourney. The marriage of Lord Ambrose Butterwell to a daughter of Lord Frey was used by some of those who had sided with House Blackfyre during the First Blackfyre Rebellion to come together, along with those who resented the rule of the Hand of the King, Brynden Rivers, and join their forces. Most of those who had fought for the Black Dragon in their original rebellion had their children taken as hostages, but most of those hostages had died during the Great Spring Sickness, which allowed their families to plot once more. The organizers of the tourney, mainly Sir Tamar Heddle and Lord Gorman Peake, convinced Lord Butterwell to name his dragon egg as the prize for the winner of the tourney. They attempted to rig the tourney so that Daemon Blackfyre would win. The plot was foiled by the intervention of Sir Duncan the Tall and the prowess of Sir Glendon Flowers in tourney. The dragon egg had been stolen, as Sir Glendon was framed for the deed due to his refusal to lose from Daemon in the lists. The missing egg was even found to be in his possessions. He was arrested and then thrown in a cell. However, Duncan slew Tomard in single combat and revealed the egg that had been found in Glendon's saddlebags was a painted stone. The real dragon egg was still missing. Daemon had been unaware of the plots and was unsure who to believe. He then ordered a trial by joust, during which Glendon unhorsed Daemon on the first pass. News then spread throughout the castle that Lord Brynden Rivers was marching on the castle with 3 of the Kingsguard, his 300 Raven's Teeth, and 500 knights, and 5,000 infantry from the Crownlands and the Riverlands. These were drawn from houses Darkland, Hayford, Massey, Rosby, Stokeworth, Mooton, Lawston, and House Blackwood, the houses of Bryndon's mother. Daemon called for those within the castle to fight to the death, but was laughed off by the fighting men. Daemon then marched out and offered single combat, but was promptly taken prisoner by Lord Rivers, thus ending the Second Rebellion before it actually began. Lord Ambrose Butterwell kept only a tenth of his fortune, and the castle White Walls was forfeit to the Iron Throne. The castle would be razed to the ground, and Sir Tamar Heddle died at the hands of Sir Duncan the Tall, and Lord Gorman Peake was executed for his part in the rebellion. Others were executed for their parts as well, and Daemon was kept as a prisoner to prevent Bittersteel, who had refused to give Daemon the sword Blackfyre, nor had taken part in the rebellion, from crowning Daemon's younger brother, Haegon. The Third Blackfyre Rebellion took place in 219 AC, where Sir Aegor Rivers, known as Bittersteel, launched a new invasion after crowning Haegon Blackfyre, the fourth-born son of Daemon the First Blackfyre, which originally started the First Blackfyre Rebellion. This new invasion took place late in the reign of King Aerys I Targaryen, who was not interested in the details of ruling. The king's younger brother, Prince Maekar Targaryen, on the other hand, showed his leadership during the conflict. His son, Prince Aerion, fought in the war as well, as did young Prince Aegon. The Third Blackfyre Rebellion featured the second duel between Bittersteel and his half-brother, Brynden Rivers, who was called Bloodraven. At the end of the final battle, the pretender Haegon I was dishonorably killed after he had surrendered and had given up his sword. The aftermath was Bittersteel getting taken captive and brought in chains to the Red Keep in King's Landing, where Aerion and Bloodraven urged Aerys I to have Aegar executed. While Bittersteel was found guilty of high treason, the king spared his life and ordered that Bittersteel be sent to the wall instead of facing execution. The rebels learned of Bittersteel's fate, as there were still many Blackfyre friends at court who were willing to inform Aegar's supporters. The ship carrying Aegar to the Night's Watch was taken to the Narrow Sea, while on the way to Eastwatch by the bay, and Bittersteel was freed and returned to the sellsword company he had founded, which is the Golden Company. He then returned to Tyrosh, and before the year had ended, he crowned Haegon's eldest son Daemon. Thus, the Blackfyre plotting continued, which leads into the Fourth Blackfyre Rebellion. The eldest son of Haegon I Blackfyre, Daemon III, had been crowned by Aegon, following Haegon's death during the end of the Third Blackfyre Rebellion. In 233 AC, during the Great Council, Daemon's uncle Haegon's younger brother Aenys had tried to make his claim and traveled to King's Landing, but he was arrested and killed on the orders of Brynden Bloodraven Rivers. This caused the enmity of the exiles in Essos to harden instead of lessen. As the 6-year cruel winter was ending, Damon decided to make the crossing. Damon III led his forces across the narrow sea, with Agar Rivers and the Golden Company at his back, and landed at Massey's Hook. Damon III's hope was that winning a few small victories in Westeros would encourage more lords to rally to his support. In truth, the Blackfyre cause was already starting to fade. To most Westerosi lords, the Blackfyre host seemed an army of foreigners, holding tattered old banners of a failed usurper who had died 40 years ago. The hope for a groundswell of support never happened, and the invasion never spread far beyond the initial landings in the Stormlands. King Aegon V and his 3 sons, Prince Duncan, Jaehaerys, and Daeron, rode out themselves to face the rebels. The rebellion soon ended at the Battle of Wendwater Bridge, where the Blackfyre army was defeated, and Sir Duncan the Tall of the Kingsguard slew Daemon III. Aegor escaped once more, fleeing back to Essos. Sir Tion Lannister, the second son and heir of Lord Gerald Lannister, died at Wendwater Bridge, making his younger brother, Tytos Lannister, the new heir to Casterly Rock. The aftermath of all the rebellions. Agar Rivers emerged in the disputed lands a few years after the rebellion, fighting with his sellswords in a skirmish between Tyrosh and Myr. Despite Agar's death a few years after the Fourth Blackfyre Rebellion, the Blackfyre cause would remain until 260 AC, where it then ended.